Alright, I'm in Ohio at a travel plaza. I am here. Toledo is up there. So I'm 100 miles east of the Indiana-Ohio border. I'm 100 miles east, and looks like I still have about 137 miles to go until I get to Pennsylvania. So that's where I am. Lake Erie, me. But on this most auspicious of mornings, I thought I'd answer some questions that a viewer left in the comments about transitioning from part-time poker to full-time poker. First, let me get set up, because even though I'm sitting in the food court, I brought my own food. This cookies and cream power bar that a friend gave me for the drive, and banana. And let me pull up the questions. Questions from the viewer Jay-Z. And I know what you're thinking. Not that Jay-Z. Not Jeremiah Zeus, the famous kite designer. Just a guy who, the first few letters of his name when he leaves a comment, Jayzee. So, let's get into the questions. Also, I'm not saying Jeremiah Zeus doesn't exist, but I did make him up. Okay, here it is. What had you done to improve your part-time play? So when I was playing what I guess we would call part-time, was mostly Wisconsin. It was before grad school started, then it was during grad school, and then a little after grad school. So what at that time was I doing to improve my play? For one, I was keeping my own hand histories. Either the biggest hands of the night, or the hands that were coming up very frequently, the situations that were coming up very frequently, or the hands I felt like I needed to improve, or the types of scenarios that I felt like I wasn't improving. I would keep track of those. Sometimes just write down on my phone like my starting hand, and then later at home I would remember all the details, or sometimes I would get a little scrap of paper and write down all the details. And then I'd go home and type it into a Word document. So I was thinking about the hand while I was playing it. Then I was thinking about it while I was jotting down like a little note. Then I would think about it on the drive home. I would think about it while I typed it out. And that was just typing it out. So, you know, I had the play-by-play of the hand. Then I would actually think about it, and in italics underneath, type in all my thoughts during the hand. So there are a lot of opportunities, even though it's just one night, to think about the hand. So that was a big thing, keeping my own hand histories. Then, at the time, I was actually very active in one of the sub-forums on 2+2, even though it's just a mess of sewage now. At the time, it was very helpful. LLSNL, Live Low Stakes No Limit. You could post your own hand, you could comment on other people's hands, because when you're playing live poker, you don't see that many hands. So you could go into that sub-forum and see all these other hands from people playing 1-2, and like, even on days you didn't play, you could get like some practice thinking about hands. So that was helpful at the time, and this was like 2012, 13, 14. Those were the two biggest things. I was also watching live streams and like the WSOP when the final table, even though some of those were tournaments, just like more content, more thoughts. So I was getting a lot of poker that way, and it was entertaining, but I was also thinking about it like very analytically. The same way when I watch like baseball or football, it is entertaining to watch, but I'm also thinking like, if I were the manager, if I were the head coach, what would I be doing every single play? That's how I was watching and thinking about poker on TV. All right, next part of this question: roughly what were your results as a part-time player? Well, that question, it really won't indicate the difference between playing part-time and being new, and then playing full-time and being more experienced, because it was a different city. I haven't been back to Wisconsin since I left. The games in Wisconsin in 2012, 13, 14, or I guess 13 and 14 were amazing. So for a long time it was 1-2 while I was there. Towards the end they changed it. They changed the blinds to 1-3, and they changed the rake a little bit. So I think my 1-2 in Wisconsin is like $18.50 per hour, and my 1-3 is like $33 an hour. For one, the 1-3 is only like 100 hours. And my last 3 sessions lifetime in Wisconsin were all $1,200 days. So small sample is skewing it. 1-2 was like 400 or 500 hours. But it's really an indicator of the games in that city compared to games in the cities I've been after leaving Wisconsin: Vegas, Atlantic City, Oklahoma, Council Bluffs. Next part of the question: what did the build-up consist of in wanting to go full-time? So I was playing during grad school and getting no offers in grad school. I needed to do something. I thought, like, you went to school and then you got hired, and it's never like that. So I needed to do something. Grad school ended and I still stayed up to date with the actuarial stuff for a matter of months. I felt like if I didn't get an offer by the time graduation happened, there was no chance. So, like, why would they hire someone who's like a few months or a year out when there's going to be a new wave of new graduates? Like, you need to get that offer before graduation. So it didn't happen. I had a pretty low confidence it would ever happen because it hadn't happened by the time of graduation. And then I stayed up to date for a few months and then totally just, no, there's no chance this is happening. This is a waste of time to keep up to date on this stuff. I need to do something that earns money. And I had about 625 hours lifetime of live casino poker, so I was confident I could win, and that was it. There was no other like prospect at the time, and I drove to Vegas and rented a room in a house and started playing. How hard was it to make the commitment to go full-time? When did you make it? How did you feel? What was your level of uncertainty about it being a viable way to make a living? So I knew I could win at the game. The thing I didn't know is what would it be like mentally playing every single day? Because in Wisconsin, it was mostly weekends. There were some long, like 3-4 day weekends, but it was never 7 days. I never played 7 days in a row. And that was the plan when I got to Vegas. Like, I'm going to be playing every day. I have nothing else going on. I'm going to play every day. And I didn't know if I would get bored, how easy or difficult it would be to play a lot of hours. Also, Wisconsin had a ton of table changing. Table changing and seat changing, of course. There's always that. Well, not if there's one game going, but I don't play in rooms like that usually. A lot of table selection and seat selection. There was no casino selection involved. There's only one casino. Vegas, that was different. So I was doing that a lot, actually. Early on, there were a lot of times I was bouncing between Bell, Aria, and Planet Hollywood, and not finding like that dream game and kind of noticing like, is all this moving around worth it? I'm wasting a lot of time bouncing between casinos. And then I didn't for a long time and started again. But anyway, there were new things about Vegas compared to Milwaukee. And really the hours, how many hours can I put in a year without like going insane? Like, how many hours do I need to play to make enough money? And am I going to be able to play those without like going crazy, getting bored, like tilting out of boredom, things like that. So I wasn't sure about that, but I was confident I could win at the game.